People will tell you a million things. The most important thing that you can do is observe them. In Matthew 7, Christ says, we'll know them by their fruit. The tree doesn't have to speak, it produces fruit, and if the fruit's good, then you know the tree is good.
Good job, Mike.
I was shaking like my hair was like,
I got hate about that.
And I think that speaks more for him, or says more for him, than he could ever enunciate. So he doesn't have to speak.
if I had to describe my dad, it would be detail-oriented and how do I want to put this?
I don't know, I think the fire is just strong inside him, you know.
Obsessed isn't the right word, because it's beyond that, you know. It's a different level.
That's him when he was a 1.5-year-old.
People in their element, they make it their element, and that's who they are. And he embodies the mountain man moniker.
These openings, and then cut back in, then.
So I think part of the reason my dad is the way that he is his dad, for sure.
My father, we kind of call him Forrest Gump in a way. He's been to a lot of places, done a lot of things. Forest fighter up in Alaska, smoke jumper. He got out ahead of the fire. It was warming the Indian villages to evacuate if the fire was coming through and that.
Young men from all across the lower 48 venture north to explore the last of the truly wild frontiers. A place of adventure made to test a man's grit and his courage.
Going through and watching all that film, there'd be a little about 3-inch disc and it'd be 3.5 minutes or so of film. And you know, back then that was expensive to run. So like you only capture the moments that were just super important to you.
I think deer hunting's a big part of my life, and it always has been. You know, since I was a kid, I can remember couldn't wait till I turned 12. That's what the legal age was to hunt back then.
Yeah, as kids, that's all we did. Our dad did. I mean, there was never a time he would post us up and we'd put on the drive, like, okay, I'm gonna push some deer to you. And we were like still hunting from morning until dark. That was just normal for us, you know, go in at dark and come out at dark, you know.
I guess I didn't just pick the habit up. It was, you know, inherited, I guess. It's probably the best way of saying that.
How much time do we have? Our country, and I'm not getting political, this is a cultural critique. We kind of have forgotten where we come from.
Priceless heritage and traditions are passed down through valuable time spent in the field.
We've put ourselves in this position where people don't have a map to orient themselves in the world. And what we don't realize is structurally, it's impossible to know where you're going if you don't know where you come from.
Up until like 5 years ago, me and my dad butted heads a lot. As much as I still always looked up to him, like we were very similar in a lot of ways. Good one. Hunting was one of those things that always, brought us together and has ultimately brought us closer. I'm over here all the time and we're always looking at trail camera pictures and reviewing data.
But I think they bet on that point and just dive down in and then do cross up over the other side.
I think you gotta trust your gut, not overthink it.
Yep.
I'm telling you that, and I'm gonna overthink my
Yeah,
spot
that's what I
tomorrow.
usually do too.
I just learned that he's got these notebooks of moon phases that he's had buck pictures of and seeing them for like 15 years. And I was like, Dad, why didn't you tell me about this? And he goes, I did, you just don't listen. I'm like, fair enough.
20 years ago, 25 years ago, he wanted to know why a buck was doing a certain thing,
I mean, when we were kids, seeing the spreadsheets of pressure and temperature and all that, like, I don't know, nobody did that. Now it's like, that's the cool thing. I remember being in school in 4th grade, 5th grade, and our teacher would be like, why'd your dad kill so many big bucks? Well, what kind of baits he used? And he's like, there was no recognition that people knew deer to that level at that time. I don't know. I'm sure other people were doing it, but in our world, nobody else was.
There's times where I've been in a tree stand, and all of a sudden I see somebody coming through, and it's him. And I'm like, whoa, hey, you're in my area. What's going on? And he's like, oh, you're in my area.
When I first started hunting, any buck was legal back then. A spike made you so happy. And naturally, anything you do, the more you do it, you just want to get better at it. And with deer hunting, to me, getting better at it is, okay, what's the smarter deer, the older deer, regardless of the antler size. And it's just a challenge of trying to figure them ones out.
As I'm packing my truck to leave for West Virginia, to get a text that I just shot stickers.
Oh my God.
170-inch deer in the big woods, there's no agriculture, just browse for the deer to feed on. For one to get old enough and survive the Orange Army for all this time and everything that it takes to even find a deer of that caliber, and then for him to have the chance to be able to hunt it.
Oh my God. Yes.
To be able to be there in that moment and see him just get teary-eyed and like, you can't replicate things like that.
I didn't shoot a deer last year, and it did sting, but it's okay. I always said that your worst years are your best years to learn, because you're making mistakes and you're learning from them. Some of the mistakes I made last year, I made 15, 20 years ago, but I forgot what the lesson was.
My dad's teaching style with us was, he showed us the ways, we got to do that, and then there became a point where it's like, okay, you need to learn this yourself and start making your own mistakes, finding sign, understanding it, read maps, go find your own spots. That allowed me to be able to grow as a hunter myself, learning from him and being kicked out of the nest essentially.
You can watch as many videos or read as many books as you want, but until you do the time in the field and experience it, that's when you do the true learning.
I'd like to cry right now. We're just climbing down. Haven't seen anything all morning. Getting ready to leave and go get some work stuff done this afternoon. And Thomas was right at the bottom of the tree, and I had just let my bow down and had him unclip it to grab some other stuff to take down. And here comes a doe sprinting out of the clear cut with the big deer that we were chasing, right where we wanted him to be.
A better or a good hunter has made a lot of mistakes in their life to get to where they're at, as long as you learn from them. But sometimes they do come back around, and because you forgot what you learned.
I don't know if it was the first time we went hunting, but it was definitely one of the only times we saw deer. I'm in a hang on, and he's at a tree, like the tree wide, and he's at the tree next to me, nodding off like you do. And I nod off the one time, and through my platform I see a buck. He's looking over, and I go, and he turns around, and he goes, and he hugs the tree. Like
Some of my most memorable hunts wasn't me shooting a deer, it was them shooting a deer. I remember it like it was yesterday, them hunts.
Although he did need more. He did run. I just spoke.
You're sitting, I'm watching you grunt and this and that, and thinking, oh, you're doing pretty good. And then when that one answered you down by the creek.
Yeah.
You grinded right back at him, and all of a sudden here he come like he's on a string.
As I said before, you know them by their fruits. And you get to see his family, you get to see the love that they have for each other. They're genuinely interested in everybody else's victory in any pursuit. And that is another path that's worth keeping, is being more genuinely interested in others' success and placing it above your own.
I think anybody who is in the world of hunting becomes a better person. It's a life lesson in a sense. Teaches them patience, teaches them things don't come easy, that you got to grind it out at times, most of the time.
Oh yeah, this worked out perfect today.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
You can't get any nicer than that.
No.
I told you this, right?
I know you
always
did.
say, every time I tell you you're going to get a big buck or an elk, you do.
Keep telling me it.
We stand on the shoulders of giants, people who came before us, fought and persevered and blazed a path for what we call America today. And they did it with blood and sweat and perseverance, and with a vision that things could be better than they are. It's on us now to take the best parts of people like him and people who have been successful in the American experiment and build on it. And I think Joe has done that from his father and his father-in-law, and has pushed the culture forward and given us all a good example to strive towards.
For a man to live wisely, he must carry the weight of the past with the utmost reverence. Because what we fail to understand, we are doomed to repeat. And what we fail to honor, we become unworthy to inherit.
You'll notice during the entirety of this, we haven't talked about how much land they own or how much money he's got in the bank or the truck that he drives. These are prima facie BS. None of that stuff truly matters. I think, again, as a culture, we're failing ourselves in measuring people's success by looking at those things when those things hardly matter and they'll all burn.